Hey everyone, this video will go over some external tools you can use to expand your grass on your holdfast maps, and should hopefully help fix some issues and make your maps look nicer. So first things first, you'll notice that we've replaced the dry grass that we added on the last video onto all green. We won't be needing different types of grass after we're done with everything we do today. So the tool we'll be going over is called the Vegetation Engine by Boxophobic. As a disclaimer, these are all external tools. This is not provided in the SDK by default, and this isn't supported in the SDK by default, so if anything breaks in the future, it is what it is. We'll have to find a workaround. It'll be up to you to get these however you need them. Main things you'll need are the vegetation engine and the vegetation module terrain elements. Once that's said, let's get started. So, first things first, we're going to right click in some empty space in our map scene hierarchy. We're going to go to Boxophobic, go to the vegetation engine, which I'll be calling TVE for the rest of this video. We're going to select a manager. Once that's done, you'll notice that all the grass is gone. Don't worry about that. Once you have done this, you want to drag this vegetation engine file that's been created. You want to put it into your temp folder. If you don't do this, you'll cause issues with your map on load. You want to position this in the middle of your map, just like we did the grass area box. So we're going to do position 500, 500, as this terrain is 1000 by 1000. And we're going to scale it up to cover the entire terrain. So, 2. That should be good enough. Now if you go under the terrain, you'll notice where all your grass went. So we're going to first fix this. So we're going to right click on our terrain. We're going to go to Boxophobic, TVE, element. We're going to assign terrain data. Now we're going to go to our inspector. We're going to set custom visibility to always hidden. We're going to save material to disk. You're going to want to save these in the _source file folder of whatever map you're working on. In case this is Plains of Jotunheim. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to override all the height files that I have. So name it just whatever your map's name is, _height. TV element will be added automatically after. And I'm going to save. Now that that's done, I'm going to expand this inspector so it's easier to see. We're going to click on the shader. We're going to go to Boxophobic, TVE, elements, and we're going to select vertex conform in parentheses terrain. Now, you'll notice that the flowers in the bushes have come back, but the grass hasn't. To do this, we're going to open up the material. To do this, you can just select this little arrow on the side. We're going to go to render layer, and we're going to select layer 1. And that should bring back your grass. You want to make sure you have both default and layer 1 selected. Otherwise, you'll notice that your flowers and any other foliage you have will go under the map. The main advantage of this is that it tends to be more accurate than just the grass area box. I still recommend adding the grass area box, but just in case, this will serve as a second shield, and it should fix some of the issues with people having grass under or over the terrain. I'm going to name the element height. That should cover that. Next, we're going to look at size fading. So we're going to right click on our terrain again. We're going to go to Boxophobic, TVE element. We're going to assign terrain data. We're going to call this one size fade. Just like last time, we're going to set this to always hidden. This time we're going to set the terrain mask to none. And we're going to save material to disk. Go down to your source file. This one's size fade. And replace. You'll notice how some of your flowers turn into this ugly red color. That's foreshadowing for later. We're going to go to the shader. Go to Boxophobic, TVE, elements, and we're going to scroll down to vertex size fade. Now you'll notice that nothing has happened so far. That's okay. We're going to set the render layer to just layer 1. So remove the default. And now we're going to have to grab the splat maps of our terrain. The easiest way to do this is to select your terrain, scroll up to the terrain data within your terrain collider, select it, and that should open up your terrain data within your source file. You can select this little arrow to open up the splat maps. Next thing I recommend doing is right-click on your inspector, add tab inspector, and drag it off to the side. That way you have two inspectors visible. And we're going to select the size fade one and lock the inspector. You can do that at the top right here. Now, if you select the splat maps of your terrain, you have one inspector for the material and one inspector for your splat maps. If you come to the bottom right, you can see how it's a splat map 0 along with these two lines. You can drag this up. This will give you a view of the actual splat map image that's created that shows how you've painted your terrain. What we want to do now is look for the splat maps that have a lot of information, and what splat maps specifically have any terrain texture that you want grass to be on. So in this case, we go through, we have a little bit on the green channel, which is a dirt texture. We have a little bit on the white channel, which is this gravel texture that follows the river. We don't need any grass on that, so we can ignore this picture. We go to splat map 1, there's a lot of stuff on this red channel. This red channel is the grass we're using, so we're going to want to use this splat map, along with some stuff in the blue channel. Splat map 3 has some in the red, splat map 4 has some in the blue, splat map 5 has some in the red. Now that we've figured out what splat maps we want to use, we're going to drag them into these control setting pictures that are in the material. So we're going to grab splat map 1, splat map 3, splat map 4, and splat map 5. Now that that's done, we can start messing with the actual size fading of our texture. You can close tab for that second inspector you made, and you can unlock the inspector. Now we can start size fading. We go to the spawns. We can see that we have this dirt texture. We obviously don't want any grass to be on that dirt texture. So we can start fading out the grass that is on these textures by messing the settings on these layers. These layers correspond to the channels within your splat maps. So layer 1, 5, 9, and 13 will be the red channels of the splat maps. 2 will be green, 3 will be blue, 4 will be alpha. The easiest way to do this is just to mess with the numbers. Get something that you like. Obviously I don't want much grass, if any grass, on the dirt areas, so I'm going to fade that out. I don't want any dirt on the snow, so I'm going to fade that out. There we go. It's already looking much nicer. There's a lot less grass now sitting on the snow and on the dirt. There's still a little bit like right here. Mess with this, we can go to the control remap section and slowly start removing how much total grass there is on the map. And there we go. That removes a lot of the extra grass we had on the map that we didn't want. It gives a nice fade out between these dirt areas and the grass. These little grass pieces fading up into the big stuff. See that at the spawns, you can see that at the river edges. This looks already much nicer. But we can do one better. So, last thing, we're going to right click on our terrain once again. We're going to go down to boxophobic, TVE element. We're going to assign terrain data. We're going to call this one color. Just like last time, set the terrain mask to none, set custom visibility to always hidden, and save material to disk. And we're going to override one of the color elements. Now again, we're going to go to shader. We're going to go to boxophobic, TVE, elements. We're going to select colors tint in parentheses terrain. Now if you open up the material, you want to change the render layer from default to layer 2. Now you'll notice nothing has happened yet. That's completely normal. In these control settings, you're now going to want to find a noise map that'll fit well within your terrain. So you can download any of these online, or I'm sure someone will send it in mod discussion. I'm going to grab 2 noise maps that I have already downloaded. I'll grab this one and this one. Now obviously things aren't looking great. You need to adjust the colors that we have. So on layers 1 through 8, we're going to set this all to black with an alpha of 0. And now we're back to where we were. And now we can start adding some color to this. On layer 5, I'm going to add a dark green color. I should give a bit more depth into it. And on layer 4, I'm going to add a dry color that'll go onto my grass. I'm going to set the alpha to 5. I'm going to find a nice dry grass color with the map. Should be fine. Obviously now the entire map is a dry grass. We don't really want that. So if you go to the control remap, start adjusting how much of your grass is going to be dry versus green. You can also adjust the render intensity if you want the grass to be a slightly less intense shade of whatever dry color you have. This will also help with the fading between the wet and dry grass. I think this looks pretty good. And now we have a map that has dry and wet grass, that has proper size fading, and that hopefully should be sticking to the terrain better than it was before.